Networking was a large part of Heidi Roizen's career from the very beginning. After graduating from Stanford, she was able to secure a highly sought-after position with Tandem Computer that allowed her to gain experience and knowledge in the growing tech industry, but also use her love of writing and also what her bachelor's degree was in. Since there were over 60 applicants for the editor of the company newsletter, the connection to the head of the hiring committee through one of her friends was imperative to her securing the job at the company. From her initial experience with the benefits of networking, she was set out to further her opportunities through becoming closer with the CEO of the company, who ultimately ended up writing her a letter of recommendation for her graduate school in business. After obtaining said degree, she was able to realize her potential of networking through using her small pool of initial connections to grow her network to help her and her brother's expanding business. Even at this point, Roizen was a master of taking a casual conversation and turning it into something meaningful and substantial for all parties involved. During this time in her career, she was also expanding her horizons by joining different groups in the tech industry, most notably Software Publishers Association, which she later became the president of, where she was able to meet and connect with different people in the industry before they became famous. As her company, Teamaker, gained more clout in the industry, she was able to help more people in her network, as well as build personal relationships from their genuine and mutually beneficial relationships. After selling Teamaker, Roizen decided to join Apple's team as their vice president of development, which essentially meant she would need to ensure Apple's relationships between them and their external software developers, as they were losing a significant amount of market share at the time. She was able to keep a vast number of Apple's developers on board, as well as her personal relationships with the developers through her influence her network gave her. Roizen was able to maintain and grow her network through developing her networking technique over time and becoming more efficient with her communication, always making sure to have consistent performance with her relationships. Thus, she was able to maintain a high-quality relationship while also not having to have high maintenance. Ultimately, due to the rigorous work schedule at Apple, Roizen left Apple to become a mentor capitalist, essentially making a career out of her extensive network. She would offer her time and experience to startup companies in exchange for an equity stake in the company. Through this, Roizen continued to build her network, but also use it to help friends and colleagues find new career opportunities or connect a startup with a large corporation, always making sure she formed mutually beneficial connections. During this time, she also mastered the art of having intertwined personal and professional relationships, somehow only using them to benefit one another rather than causing problems. Eventually, Roizen ended up at SoftBank Venture Capital as a partner, where she could have more exposure to the internet sector. However, her vast network posed some problems at this point, since she constantly had people who considered her friends asking her for SoftBank to invest in their startup. In her final career, she is extremely strategic and efficient in the relationship she maintains, mainly the nuclei of other networks, and has become selective of which companies she recommends for people to go and work for. When comparing Roizen's career to Grant's book Give and Take, she has mainly demonstrated a matching style in her relationships. She is constantly looking for a win-win situation between herself, individuals in her network, and companies in her network. Though these styles naturally fluctuate depending on the situation, as sometimes she is more of a giver or more of a taker, she seems to further develop a matching style throughout the course of her career. Her time at Apple seemed to be the time when she was most out of balance and ultimately had a burnout because she was not able to truly match her network. She is passionate about being able to help as many people as possible while also benefiting those she asks for a favor, proving that she can have a matching for short-term solutions as well as personal relationships for the long term. Roizen's entire story adheres to many of the principles outlined in Cialdini, as she has truly mastered the art of persuasion and networking. From the beginning of her career, she was able to use her peers from Stanford to help her in her career, and them likewise. She also had the ability to find common ground with people in order to charm and disarm them through polite conversations or even one of her exclusive dinner parties. Lastly, in Roizen's last career choice, she reached the conclusion of Uzi and Dunlap, which is to focus mainly on the nuclei of other networking clusters in order to efficiently maintain your network. Here, she moved from mainly using the self-similarity principle to connecting with more brokers in order to deliver the important information to the right people. Ultimately, Heidi Roizen is a master networker who is able to constantly look to build new relationships and help those around her.